The movie begins with a salvaging company, Atlantic Crew, run by Walter recovering a large treasure known as the Treasure of Guadalupe under the water. Despite numerous warnings, James, one of the excavation crew, decides to risk his life to get the last cage of the treasure. Fortunately, James is able to recover the cage, which makes Walter happy. Not long after, Walter celebrates their success with a glass of wine, but they notice a troop of Spanish customs approaching them. Afterward, they are charged to court and the treasures are seized because Walter and his men didn't have an excavation permit, hence they acquired the treasure illegally. Soon after, the treasures are transported and locked in the vault of the Bank of Spain. Meanwhile, Tom, a genius engineering student, who helped Best Oil with their oil spill problem in the Gulf of Mexico, attends an interview offering him a $400,000 starting salary. He also goes for several interviews offering him a huge salary and shares in their companies, but Tom rejects all the offers. During lunch, his father chastises him for rejecting the offers, but Tom tells him that the interests of the companies do not align with his. While they talk, Tom receives a text message from a mysterious sender, who tells him that she wants to meet him. She states that she is the opportunity of a lifetime and Tom lies to his father that he is going to get some fresh air. However, Tom plans to meet the sender of the cryptic message. On his way out, he is given a coat, which contains a letter and a coin. Tom leaves for the address written on the letter and he meets Lorraine. Lorraine picks up someone's pocket and places the wallet in Tom's jacket, without Tom realizing it. Although Tom is surprised by her unique skills, he informs her that he is not going to get involved in her dirty business and decides to leave. Lorraine tells him that he can return the wallet to the owner and be a law-abiding citizen, or he can become her accomplice and leave with her. Interested in a new adventure, Tom follows her to a bar, where he meets Walter. Walter introduces himself and offers Tom a job offer. Walter wants him to break into the vault of the most secure location in the world, but Tom thinks that he needs a safe cracker as he is an engineer and not a thief. However, Walter reveals that no one has been able to figure out how the vault works, and that is why it is described as a miracle of engineering. Walter adds that he needs Tom's genius mind, as he isn't just looking for a solution to a problem, but also the problem itself. He asks Walter why he should accept the job, and Walter tells him that aside from making lots of money, he will be able to escape his boring life. Walter gives him a ticket and leaves, claiming that his future is calling him. Later that night, Tom returns home and searches for the most secure vault in the world. He discovers that the vault is in the Bank of Spain and calls his father, informing him that he is going away to clear his head. The next day, Tom accepts the offer and travels to Spain. Lorraine picks him up at the airport and takes him to the war room, where Walter introduces him to the rest of the team. He meets Klaus, the computer whiz, and James, Walter's colleague. He informs the team that Tom is the world's brightest mind and the key to their success, but James believes Tom cannot succeed as he is not a mastermind at infiltration. According to the plan, the team needs the voicemail access code to touch the loop. Tom suggests that they should find an employee out of the office, call their mobile, and get the passcode, but Klaus thinks that they won't fall for it. They decide to execute his plan and it works, prompting Walter to praise him. Right after, Tom goes to his room and tells Lorraine that he doesn't really know what he is doing in Spain, but she assures him that he made the right decision. Later that day, James and Simon go to inspect the route that leads to the tunnel, but they discover that it is another dead end. Elsewhere, Walter tells Tom about how he acquired a letter 30 years ago from the backseat antique dealer, which contains 3 coins from Drake. It turns out Drake stole Spanish treasures to fund the English crown, but he decided to keep them for himself and buried them in an unknown location. The letter contains 3 coins Drake engraved with coordinates to his fortune. Walter reveals that he found the treasure a year ago on a shipwreck, after searching for 30 years, and Tom figures out that it's the treasure that's in the bank. The following morning, Walter briefs the team about the plan and Tom believes that the plan is foolproof, but James informs him that the vault is safety rigged and they don't know how it works. He adds that if they don't shut down the fail-safe when they are in the vault, they won't be able to make it out. Walter explains to him that this is the miracle of engineering that he needs to find and solve. Tom requests that he sees the actual vault, but Klaus says that they will find out tomorrow when they enter the bank, which is the first stage of the heist. Due to the noise generated by thousands of fans watching the World Cup football match in Cibeles Square, Walter suggests that they postpone the survey of the vault, but his team doesn't agree. They try to figure out who would infiltrate the bank and Tom volunteers to follow them as he knows how to use a magnetometer. Simon and Tom disguise as cleaners while Lorraine disguises as an artist to have her art scanned. She gives Medina, the head of security, her cup of coffee to hold, in order to get his fingerprint, before leaving for the office. Meanwhile, Simon helps the team disable the system security of the bank. In the chairman's office, Lorraine records a loop before proceeding to copy the first key successfully. Elsewhere, Tom goes to the conference room to scan the vault, but he soon gets company as there is a scheduled meeting to be held in the room. James instructs him to break up the magnetometer, hide it in his clothes, and work out of the room as though he has been cleaning the place. James suggests that they abort the mission, but Walter states that they won't get another chance. Tom waits till the magnetometer finishes scanning the vault, but it freezes just as he is about to break it. While he tries to switch off the machine, the vault's alarm goes on due to the magnetometer's pulse, and the building is placed on lockdown. Unfortunately, Lorraine still has the second key to the safety lock and the safe is still open as she is forced to leave the room. Tom manages to leave the conference room and Lorraine throws the key at him, hoping he catches it, and he does. Tom leaves to return the key, but a guard meets him there. He is able to fool the guard by communicating with her in Spanish, causing Walter to wonder if he has any other hidden talent. The first stage is successful thanks to Tom, and they leave the bank unnoticed. Back at their hideout, Tom figures out that the vault is sitting underneath a tank of water and the water is the trap. He says that the slightest change of weight in the vault will cause a flood and the vault will sink, preventing them from escaping. Walters asks him how they can defeat the system, but Tom confesses that he doesn't have a solution. While Tom tries to figure out the solution to the problem, James and Simon finally find the route leading to the tunnel, even though they thought it was a dead end at first. James confirms that Simon is right and believes that they are directly under the vault. James scans the wall and finds out that it is made of steel plates, titanium-reinforced concrete, and a Dyneema shell, which he informs the team at a bar. Simon tells them that it will take them 15 days to drill through the pit, which upsets Walter and he leaves the bar angrily. Tom thinks that they can find a solution, but Lorraine tells him that Walter will pay him for the 5 days he wasted as the heist is over. While Walter leaves, he observes the security cameras in front of the bank and gets an idea of how to rob the bank. Walter calls the team together and tells them that if they can't break in from below, they can break in from above, but Simon says that they abandoned that plan initially because of too much exposure from the security cameras. Walter tells him that it wouldn't be a problem if Spain wins the semifinals and plays in the final match because every camera will be pointing away from the building and towards the crowd watching the finals. Walter explains that they will have 105 minutes to get the job done, which is the duration of the match. Realizing that their plan depends on the match's outcome, they turn on their TV to find out if Spain won. While they watch the game, Tom meets Walter and informs him that they still have the scale problem, despite the final being 4 days away, but Walter says that he has faith in him and Spain. Spain wins the semifinals and Walter tells him that it's all on him now. Tom continues to figure out a solution to the scale problem and Lorraine goes to see him but finds a sketch of her among his sketches. Lorraine meets Walter and tells him that he is putting too much pressure on Tom as he is a school kid. However, Walter thinks that she is concerned not only because he is a school kid, but because she has feelings for him. Elsewhere, Medina already finds out that Simon and Tom are imposters and he informs the chairman about it. Soon after, Lorraine rushes to ask Tom if he has a criminal record. They meet the rest, and James tells him that he screwed things up when he searched the power as Medina now knows that someone is after the vault. James further states that Medina has laid a trap for them and they have to abort the mission, but Walter insists that they carry out the heist. Walter decides to call Margaret, a partner at the Secret Intelligence Service, and asks her to tell a lie for 50% of the heist. Meanwhile, Medina prepares his team as he believes Walter and his team will try to rob the vault. At night, Lorraine offers to take Tom out for a drink and they go to a club. At the club, Tom gets an idea on how to beat the scale problem and he shares it with the team. He figures out that he can trick the vault by freezing it with 500 liters of nitrogen for a long time in order to prevent it from registering extra weight and triggering a flood. Tom insists that he is going with them into the bank and the team starts preparing for the heist. At night, they share a special moment as each of them reveals their biggest regret. It's the day of the finals and the heist. James, Tom, and Lorraine successfully enter the vault using Medina's fingerprint and the keys they stole earlier, but they were slower than the intended time. Elsewhere, Simon freezes the scale, allowing Tom and the rest to enter the vault. They search the treasure for the 3 coins from Drake, but the frozen scale starts to melt faster than expected. Meanwhile, Medina alerts the soldiers after discovering that Walter's team has infiltrated the vault. After searching for some time, Lorraine finds the cage housing the coins, while the soldiers wait for them outside the vault, and Walter tells them that they have to surrender. While they think of a solution, James pulls out his gun and asks for the coins. He confesses that he is working for the British government, even though Walter believed he was retired. Lorraine refuses to give him the coins and the 3 of them get locked inside the vault. Water starts to fill the vault, but James manages to escape using his swimming skill, abandoning Tom and Lorraine. The vault starts getting filled with water, but Tom deduces that they can balance the weight of the scale by piling up the empty cans of nitrogen on it. Simon starts to pile the empty nitrogen tanks, but the weight isn't enough. The team believes that they have lost Tom and Lorraine, but Simon decides to climb on the scale with his radio, thereby increasing the weight. Tom and Lorraine manage to escape from the vault, but the soldiers go after them. They escape through the window of the chairman's office and blend with the crowd after changing their clothes. They share a kiss while Spain scores the winning goal. The next day, Walter meets with Margaret after figuring out that she has been using him from the beginning. He requests that they renegotiate but she refuses, stating that James has the coins. Margaret asks him to disappear as he is now a fugitive and they cannot protect him anymore. At the British Embassy, Margaret and James find out that Walter has switched the coins, giving them a fake one. Instead, the team is seen in France trying to figure out the coordinate of the treasure, and Tom asks how he was able to switch the coins. Walter reveals that he always suspected that James was going to betray them, and Lorraine uses her skills to swap the cage. The team traces the coordinates and discovers that the treasure is buried in London. In London, 2012, Lorraine is seen in the Bank of London, implying that the treasures are there, and the team prepare to pull another amazing heist.